The operating company went bankrupt, forcing many stores to close. When I peeked inside, I saw the old store equipment still there. Huh? It looks like it's still open. The contrast with the supermarket is harsh. Commercial facilities are growing in major cities like Tokyo and Osaka, but declining elsewhere. This was mainstream until about 2000. Medium-sized commercial facilities keep losing customers to large complexes like Aeon Mall, and the situation remains tough. This place is no exception. What kind of history has this facility gone through? This time we're looking at a commercial facility located in Tsuchiura City, Ibaraki Prefecture. Let me introduce Sun Apio. I've rented a car at Japan Railway's Tsuchiura Station and am driving to Sun Apio. You can reach Tsuchiura Station from Tokyo Station in about 50 minutes by express train or 1 hour 10 minutes by local train, both with no transfers. That's why it functions as a bedroom community for the Tokyo metropolitan area. Recently, it has lost vitality and the area in front of the station is now deserted. I'll soon release a video introducing the area in front of Tsuchiura Station. A 15-minute drive from that station takes you to Sun Apio. On the way, the roads were neither crowded nor empty and not too rural, making for an easy drive. This is Sapio. I don't want to be rude, but you can instantly see from the outside that it's run down. It's about 5:30 p.m., but few cars are parked here. Usually people gather at supermarkets now, but that's not happening. The rooftop parking lot is well maintained, but appears closed. Hardly any cars are passing on the road in front, almost none at all. Honestly, there's nothing here, so it feels like a commercial facility just appears out of nowhere. I'll give you an overview of the facility while we take a look at the exterior. Sun Apio opened in April 1993. This two-story commercial facility has a store area of about 11,000 square meters. It is a medium-sized commercial facility with an area in square meters. For example, it's about the size of a baseball field. Does that help? Let's go inside. It's more spacious than you'd expect. Let's put aside the past and future for now and take a look at the current shocking state of the facility. This used to be the main gate closest to the road, but it's completely closed off now. Valuable items are scattered, so people might think this place is a ruin. The entrance is called the zoo entrance. I'm not sure why, but basically, the other entrances are also named after animals. There's a bicycle parking area by the zoo entrance, but no bikes are parked there. There was also a taxi stand, unusual for a facility this size. People used to go out of their way to take a taxi here, showing it was a popular commercial spot. Being far from the station and in a remote area, people without cars likely had to take a taxi. I think people once came here feeling like they do now at an Aeon Mall. At the time it opened, there were hardly any large commercial facilities. This is the Lion entrance, and this place is also closed off. Both the Elephant entrance and the Lion entrance, which are close to the road, are closed off. What's rusting here? There was a sign introducing restaurants. It used to be called the Food Town, but now even the restaurants listed here have closed down. At the entrance, a notice states part of it is closed because the association dissolved. In 2022, the association that partially owned this facility went bankrupt. It's become a serious situation. The frame where the banner was is now gone. I can get in from the back, so I'll go there. There were a fair number of cars parked near the entrance. This is the entrance. The color is Fresh Power Ecos. The faded, cracked signs stand out. I've gone inside. Fresh Power Ecos is the name of the supermarket, so some of you might not be familiar with it. It's an Ecos Group brand, operating supermarkets in the Kanto region. They also operate other stores like Hireya, Kokos Nakamura, and Masuda. It's a public company and an impressive business. Is it packed with people? Well, not really, but there are a fair number of people. They're operating energetically. As for next to the supermarket, absolutely, it was a row of shops. Signs with the store names are still left behind. On the left, there's a ruin. On the right, a regular supermarket is open for business. What kind of scene is this? It really tugs at my heart. Until 2022, about 60% of the building was owned by Ecos, and about 40% was owned by the Shinbari Commercial Cooperative. However, the cooperative suddenly went bankrupt, even though they were still running their business. The store was forced to close suddenly. That's right, after all the stores closed, the part owned by the cooperative remained. Most of the areas were off limits. They're divided by fences. You can easily look inside, so I did. The store on the left still has many things as they were. You can tell everything happened so suddenly. It's sad that we can't enter the impressive atrium. It feels like a 30-year-old commercial atrium, and I love it. If you're nostalgic for the Heisei era, come here to relive it. Walking through the empty space, I found a Wizaya drugstore. Since this area is owned by Akosu, it continues to operate. The clothing alteration shop further inside is the same. The jewelry shop has been in business since it opened. There was a sign left behind informing that the business had closed due to the operating company going bankrupt. It seems that each tenant was ordered to vacate by the end of November, so they are considering things like cleaning up. They likely operated until the last minute. The color scheme here has an early Heisei era feel and looks poorly maintained. The aging is obvious, and it's honestly hard to know which areas actually belong to Akosu. I'm not sure if this is part of their property or not, but it's being used as a rest area. I guess this means Akosu owns this part too, and it's not off limits or anything. So, I've come up to the second floor. The second floor is just Daiso. The other sections are barricaded, and unlike the first floor, you can't even look inside. Even so, the Daiso logo is old. Directly managed stores typically update their logos to the latest version. So, I guess this must be a franchise, right? But if you think about it, the second floor is supposed to be as big as the first floor, which is pretty impressive. Most of it is closed off. The dentist in the back here seems to at least still be in business. It's likely fenced off because it was after business hours. I wish I had checked more closely. Daiso is the same everywhere, so let's return to the first floor. Next to the escalator was a floor map, which shows the layout from before the union was formed. Right now, you can only walk within this red frame. Most areas are off limits, especially near the atrium. There are stairs leading to the rooftop parking lot, but as of 2021, it seems the rooftop parking lot has been closed. In other words, it's right in front of the union. Even if the union hadn't gone bankrupt, its situation was still difficult. Even then, they tried to keep the business running. It saddens me to think how shop owners on the union's side must have felt. So that's how things are at the moment, just an update on the current situation. It's not good or bad, just how it is. I think you can understand now that it's a facility. However, this isn't the first time Sun Apio's owner has gone bankrupt. I'll explain with a similar scale. The second half is also a must-see, so please stay tuned to the channel. Once again, Sun Apio is a commercial facility that opened in April 1993. Looking at an aerial photo from 1984, it seems that it was built on land that used to be farmland. At the time of its opening, Nagasaki was one of the main tenants. Other areas house cooperative-run stores. Therefore, the cooperative and Sunland, Nagasaki's affiliate, are still listed as the facility's founders. Sun Apio was the main facility here and attracted many customers back then. It gets a bit complicated from here. I'll explain using diagrams. Initially, the building belonged to the Union and Sarando. The land appeared to be owned by Nihari, SC. If you change SC to the alphabet, it means shopping. Since it stands for center, it appears to be a company formed to build Sun Apio. Looking up Nihari SC's address brings up Sato Liquor Store. Apparently, they also had a store inside Sun Apio. Someone connected to this liquor store apparently worked hard to start the commercial association. After that, right after opening, part of the land was owned by the association. The area corresponding to the building's section belonged to the association. It was sold and Sunland owns the building. The land was also sold in 1994, a year after opening, but the airport remained under the name Niharishi. Afterward, Niharishi faced financial instability and went bankrupt. The area where Nagasaki operated was seized. Handling ceramics caused some trouble, but they managed it well. They went back to Sunland and have returned. That's good, that's good. Let's put bankruptcy aside for now, Niharishi. I'm curious about the intention behind creating the corporation. I founded the company solely to create Sun Apio and sold it soon after starting. Now, it was known nationwide. Nagasaki also ended up in a tough situation and went bankrupt due to excessive investments during the bubble period. Nagasaki reigned as the core tenant inside this Sarpio. Nagasaki also closed down in 2002. The business was taken over by two companies, which are still operating today. Ecos bought the part owned by Nagasaki and reopened a supermarket on the first floor, which brings us to the present. But after Aeon Mall Tsuchura opened nearby in 2009, there was no reason to visit Sun Apio anymore. Until I go to Sun Apio again? Since you have to drive forever on a one-lane road, didn't it get congested really quickly in the last century? I don't think it's suitable for a large, high-traffic facility. To be honest, there's nothing about Sun Apio that can beat Aeon Mall. Visitor numbers keep declining, including on the eco side. What's most noticeable is that stores on the Union side are pulling out. It was unavoidable because Union side stores were mostly independently owned. It was so run down, it was hard to believe the facility was just 30 years old, and maintenance seemed neglected. And then, in 2022, the Union suddenly went bankrupt. The Union's former property is now owned by the real estate company Tayo. In the 30-year history of this commercial facility, 3 companies have gone bankrupt. Let's discuss the future later. Several things caught my attention. There are no ceramic tiles on the building. Without ceramic tiles, the building is harder to sell, harder to finance, and has other drawbacks. Honestly, it's just a commercial facility. I've never heard of a building without ceramic tiles before. Basically, when you build a building of this scale, you usually borrow money from the bank using the building as collateral. If you can't repay the money, the building is taken. That's how it works. Ultimately, if you build the building entirely with your own funds, there's no need to get a loan from the bank. So there's no need to mortgage the building either, right? But is that really possible with a facility of this scale? Also, the land is still classified as forest. As the name suggests, Sanrin means forest. Basically, if you build a structure on forest land, the owner is supposed to change the land classification, but that wasn't done. Also, this area is designated as an urbanization control area, which is meant to restrict urban development. In order to build a structure, you need to get development permission from the prefecture, but I wonder if it's even possible to buy that. It all seems pretty sloppy in various ways. While reviewing articles from the Union's bankruptcy, I found a statement that the prefecture had loaned the Union over 1 billion yen interest-free. It's mentioned similarly in the land scale section. Of that, 500 million yen remains unpaid. After the bankruptcy, the prefecture abandoned reconstruction, so the 500 million yen is lost forever. From now on, this is just my speculation. They used the 1.1 billion yen to build, so they didn't need to borrow money against the building. That's why I think they didn't register the building. It would have been a hassle. But what kind of system did they use? It's a mystery how they were able to borrow such a huge amount, 1.1 billion yen, without any interest. Since it's unclear how the association was established, no matter how much I look into it, I can't say for sure. But maybe the prefecture asked the association-run shopping district to relocate to Sun Apio by offering to lend them money with factory bonds in exchange for moving out due to the prefecture's redevelopment. There are so many things we just don't know. I'm not an expert, so sorry if I was mistaken. I've shared all the information I was able to find out to the best of my ability. Commercial facilities often lack information, so I have to research extensively, which really excites me. All association-owned sections are currently off limits and entry is prohibited. I don't think there's any possibility of bringing in another tenant and reusing the space, at least from what I can see right now. That leads to the question, why did Taiyo, who currently owns it, buy it in the first place? Looking at Taiyo's website, it's a real estate company, but it seems they specialize in demolition work. They have never operated commercial facilities before. I got the impression that they're waiting for Ecos to close, planning to demolish the building and use the site for something else. With both sides of Sun Apio now logistics centers and transport company branches, I wondered if they plan to turn it into a related business building. So, it all comes down to how long Ecos will be able to stay from now on. There's no way the facility will be brought back. These kinds of places where you can really soak in the Heisei era are steadily disappearing due to closures and renovations. It's a pretty valuable building, so honestly I'd like it to be preserved, but ultimately it's up to the company to decide. In the first place, there aren't that many people in general who actually like commercial facilities. I'll be keeping a close eye on what happens from here on out. That's it for this video. I'll see you again in the next one.